Hello everybody, I hope you're okay. Thank you for clicking on this video and thank you for coming along to watch it. I'll tell you right now that this is not clickbait bullshit. The title is what it says. Literally just over a week ago from the point of where this video was filmed, I was genuinely so close to being killed on my C90 on this road. And I wanted to make this video because at the time I didn't realise just how close it was with more than one factor, and it kind of started to play on my mind a little bit actually, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to come out and I'm going to explain to you what happened, how it happened and that, and I'm as angry as I am with the other driver, as worried as it made me and anxious as it made me and whatnot, sort of afterwards. I'm going to hopefully put a positive spin on this, and I'm going to end the video on a high note, on a really positive note. So I was on my way home from work, I was commuting, and it was late at night, it was about 7:30 at night, so it was dark. And I was riding down this road, coming this way, up towards that nasty bend just up there. And what happened was, round that bend, I saw two headlights, one behind the other. As I got to roughly just here by this telegraph pole, a car jumped out from behind the first one, absolutely floored it on that blind bend over there, and came straight towards me on the wrong side of the road. Just about here somewhere, I managed to swerve, get around it and come back onto the road. But literally it was 1, 2, 3. We all passed each other literally 3 abreast. So the innocent party was on that correct side of the road, the idiot was here, and I was on the grass verge, and all 3 of us passed each other at the same time. And as you can see, this grass verge isn't big. There's a hedge there, there's a lamppost there, and it was so close. And it wasn't one of those experiences where we've all had near misses, haven't we, on our motorcycles? I'm sure we have. And it wasn't one of those near misses where you laugh about it and you go to your mates, go, oh bloody hell, that was close, wasn't it? Woo, you know. Or maybe I got nudged off and I broke a limb or something and I fully recovered. This was one of those instances where had I have hit that car, or that car technically hit me, it would have been a full-on head-on collision, well over 100 mile an hour combined speed. I was doing 50. I was pushing the C90 as hard as I could. I was doing 50. The car that come flinging past, I dread to think how fast they were going. But quite simply, I'd have been through their windscreen. And there is no doubt in my mind I would have been killed on impact. Simple as that. I turned around and had a look, and the car that was overtaken had stopped just down there by that tree as well. And we just I just looked, I just stared at that other car. And I take a little bit of comfort in sort of thinking that maybe the driver was sort of looking in their mirrors and checking that I was okay as well. And honestly, we were both there for about 5 minutes. And I actually kind of regret at this moment in time not going down there and not speaking to them and not making sure that they were okay as well, because it must have been so frightening for them as well, just as much as it was for me. I mean, had that car have hit me, seen me, swerved to try and avoid me or whatever, then potentially it could have hit them as well, and there would have been more than one fatality or you know, or serious life-threatening injuries or what have you. And I do regret not going to speak to them. But you know, I made the decision, I calmed down, I made the decision to drive off, and as I sort of started pulling out, they did as well. You know, so it was kind of one of those shared moments, and yeah, it was weird. Not weird. I don't know. It was hard. The point that I'm trying to make is, in 35 years, or just under 35 years of riding, this genuinely is the closest I have ever come to being killed on a motorcycle. And the scary part of it is, it wasn't for any fault of my own. I was riding along, minding my own business, and then some idiot decided to overtake on a blind corner. I mean, let me flip around and show you. They overtook on that. I mean, how stupid can you be? You cannot see around that bend, so why did you even think that was a good idea? Like, just what you're thinking, or weren't you? You probably weren't even thinking. And so I'm getting cross now, and I'm getting wound up. And I did say to myself, I wouldn't. When I was riding along on my C90 on the ride here, normally it feels so fast. It's so much fun. You look down, you realise you're only doing 40 miles an hour. Yeah, it feels fast. It feels fun. On the ride here, to come out to this spot this morning, it didn't have that same feeling. It felt different. It just like, it felt so slow. It felt so sluggish. I wasn't enjoying myself. And I think that's probably because I was coming here to this spot to go and just see quite how close it did come to. And to be honest with you, in my head, it was absolute, call it what you like, divine intervention, pure, sheer dumb luck that I actually managed to avoid that car. I honestly and truly believe that had I been on a bigger bike, so had I been on my Pan America, on something that's wider than the C90, on something that's not as nimble as the C90, on something heavier than the C90, I'd have been through that windscreen. I managed to dodge out the way last minute. Literally, it just all happened so fast. I dodged out the way. You've seen the size of the gap on the grass. I don't know how I managed to stay upright on the grass because it's wet, it's slippy, as you can see. How I managed to stay upright, I don't know. But I am utterly convinced, had I been on my Pan America, wider bike, I'd have hit the grass, been flung off, I'd have got clipped by the car, wouldn't have been able to move out the way in time, whatever. And when I pulled over at first, it kind of like, it was a moment like, holy shit, that was close. But then as I sort of pulled away and started riding home again, it dawned on me that how close it was and what I potentially lost, what I could have lost. Every day when I come home from work, I go home, I get home at about 8 o'clock at night, if not a little bit later, depending on what happens. I'm a firefighter, as some of you may already know. So, you know, my job can be dangerous at times. But every single night, I have a little 8-year-old boy that's waiting for me at home to go into his room, to go and give him a cuddle and tell him that I'm okay and let him know that I'm home. And the other day, I nearly couldn't do that. And sorry, I nearly couldn't do that. And it was that realization. It's still getting me now. It was that realization that got me, that made me think that perhaps I wouldn't have been able to do that again. And truth be told, I really struggled with that. Like, I see things not all that often. So in my job role, I see the nasties. I see the results of people being stupid themselves and others. Okay, it's not that regular, all right, and luckily it isn't. But I see these things, and all too often, I see the result of human stupidity. And as a firefighter, you do tend to deal with it in a different way as any emergency service worker, whether you be police, paramedic, or you know, mountain rescue, air sea rescue, whatever, Coast Guard, etc. You see these things and you deal with them in a different way. But when you deal with them at work, etc., we deal with them by talking to each other. We have a watch. We're a bit of a family. We're all very close. We all talk to each other. A little bit of dark humour comes out, rightly or wrongly, and we deal with it. But this was different. I was on my own. It happened to me. And it's those thoughts of my family. It's those thoughts of my wife. It's those thoughts of my child that really get you. And like I said, it was that realization that really got me, and that is what did it in the end for me. It wasn't one of those things where I could just go talk to my mate and just have a laugh about it in the pub. Probably can now, but at the time, no, because like I said, just pure sheer luck that I wasn't in the front end of that car. Why am I telling you this then? So am I going to stop riding bikes? No, I'm not. Of course I'm not. Bikes are a massive part of my life. Bikes are a massive part of my headspace. They are what, when I get upset, when I get worried about something, or I'm having a down moment or something, like we all do, I get out on my bike, I get out on the C90, I get out on whatever, I go out with my friends, I go out on my own, I go and enjoy myself. It's my way of clearing my headspace and being able to function with the things that I see sometimes and whatnot. But not everybody is like that. Not everybody is able to or can do that. Things just build up over time. People can't talk to each other, can't talk to therapists or whatever, and sometimes it does become too much, and sometimes people, I'll say it straight, people end up taking their own lives. It happens to men and women, and you know, it's not just blokes, but young blokes are one of the highest percentages of individuals that do commit suicide. And unfortunately, within my job role, again, not too regularly, but we do come across this where we have to break into properties and things because somebody has hurt themselves or has committed suicide, and it's so upsetting. So I decided a long time ago I was going to do something about it, just a bit of something that hopefully can help not just myself but help other people as well. And I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't really know how to start it, but then I met a chap online as wrong as that sounds. I met a chap online who, funnily enough, had the exact same idea as me, and we started chatting, and we said, yes, this is a great idea. I really liked what he'd started doing. We decided together that we were going to do this. Coming your way soon then is going to be a brand new podcast. It's going to be a podcast for bikers, made by bikers, and it's the podcast that you didn't know you needed as a biker. It's going to be all about mental health. It's going to be all about inspiring stories. It's going to be all about how motorcycles can help us and do help us to get over those fears, those worries, those anxieties, how they help our headspace, how they make us feel, etc. The idea of this podcast is myself and Gaz, we want to speak to you. We want to hear your stories. We want you guys to get in touch with us and tell us your stories. We've all got our demons, and we want to be able to help each other. We want to bring mental health and motorcycling to the forefront of people's minds, and we want to see bikers in a different light. You know, you see things like all the big gruff riders with massive beards and oh man, yeah, you know, and that isn't the case. That is not the case at all. So we want to hear from you. We want to hear inspiring stories of anything. Have you built a motorcycle that's changed your life, or have you done a trip that inspired you or can inspire somebody else? Have you anything? Have you had your demons? Have you had your struggles? Have you used motorcycling as a way of a coping mechanism? Or are you that sibling, that parent, that partner of somebody who perhaps had a motorcycle, it was their outlet, and unfortunately the demons became too much, and that individual, you know, sadly is no longer with us for one reason or another? But we want to hear from you. We want to hear your stories. We want you to be a part of this. It is the podcast for you. It's called Throttle Therapy Podcast. Doesn't matter what you ride. You ride a small bike like a C90, you ride a plaggy 50, you ride a great big massive touring thing all around the world. It doesn't matter. It's for you. Throttle Therapy Podcast. If you want to talk to us and you've got something that you think you can tell us, or a story that you want sharing, email throttletherapypodcast@gmail.com, and it will come to me or Gaz, and we'll get you on. We'll either get you on the show to talk to us, or we will read your story for you. Anyway, on that note, here are a couple of very short clips, just one introducing the podcast and one from a story that was sent in to us, which Gaz has done very well with. It was very hard to hear. Just listen to these two short clips, then you'll get an idea of what the podcast is about.
Welcome to Throttle Therapy. Hope you're well wherever you are in the world. Throttle Therapy is a space created for bikers and motor vloggers and advocates of mental health within the biking community. As always, I say it all the time, mental health is a big thing in motorcycling. Our helmets listen to more of our problems than our actually families probably do. So as I said, this podcast is all about real conversations, personal stories, and how riding motorcycles plays a crucial role in mental health and well-being. Whether you ride for adventure, skate, or just a pure joy of being on two wheels, this is a place where we can all connect without judgment. So like I said, no matter where you are in the world, I hope I find you all well. The biking community is a global family, and this podcast is bringing us all together, no matter of the distance. When I decided to start this podcast, I didn't expect to go deep on the first episode, but the reality is, I asked for this. So without further ado, let's kick off this show with Jan's story and her son David. Hi, I recently watched your YouTube video about bikers and their mental health, and I couldn't stop myself from reaching out to you. In 2023, I lost my only son David to depression, every mother's worst nightmare. We always had those mother and son conversations about the dangers of motorbikes, but all I remember is David saying, "Oh Mum, you don't understand. Without my bike I'd be dead anyway." I never truly understood what he meant. David often told me that riding was his personal therapy, but as a mother I couldn't grasp it. I knew he suffered in silence, keeping his demons to himself, but sometimes he would just disappear for days with nothing but his bike and tent, and I never questioned it. On April 17, 2023, David was signed off work with depression.
Please guys, please. The podcast will be up and running soon. We're just in the process of getting people on the show, getting videos together, and starting to put stuff together ready for it. It should be really good, and I'm hoping in time it will grow and it'll become a really positive thing for people, and it will help people. That's all we want. We just want to hear your stories, and we want to help, want to get the word out there. But yeah, Throttle Therapy Podcast. And if you want to email a story or talk to us, it's throttletherapypodcast@gmail.com. I'll put a link down in the description below to it. But yeah, thanks guys, thank you so much for sticking with me. I told you, like I said, it's a bit more of a vlog than I normally do. It's not clickbait bullshit. It is what it is. I just had to share it. That's my way of dealing with it. That's my way of talking about what happened and how close I came. Like I said, 35 years riding, and that's the closest I have ever been. Anyway, come on, let's enjoy the ride. Let's not let it sit on us anymore. Let's have some fun. Cheers all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra. I needed that.